Heyo, it's me, Harper Savage, and today we're working in How Much Art Can You Make by Chantel Arts. And the first prompt we're going to be working on is, what's on your list? Big or small? The present might be delivered. For this, I'm going to be doing it on a separate piece of paper. Here we are. I already did the first set of lines, so I'm going to start coloring it now. So the first thing I drew was the YouTube symbol because a lot of the things have to do with YouTube. Like, I want to be successful at it. And then the eye is representing viewership and watch time, but mostly watch time because I was about halfway last year to the amount of watch time I needed to get the first step of monetization, and then I didn't get it, and all of those hours fell off at the beginning of the year, which sucked. And then also I have like a little cluster of people for more subscribers, more community. I have this house, not because I want to move or anything, but actually quite the opposite of I want to be able to stay where I am. I don't want to move back with my parents if I can help it. I would also eventually like another dog because losing Peanut has been very hard on us, and there's like a hole where he used to be. So it doesn't have to be a golden or anything, that's just what I drew to match the colors I was using on this page. And of course, to be able to stay where I live and to have a dog, I need money. Who knew? And also to like have more time in general. That's why the stopwatch is there, because I feel like I'd be able to have a dog and be more confident about being able to pay the bills if I had more time in the day to work on things, whether it's job related or YouTube content related. I just feel like I'm always running out of time to do everything. Like, for instance, I'm recording the voiceover for this at 4 a.m. a couple hours before this video is going out. So I just go ahead and I outline everything in better lines because they were severely lacking after I used paint markers to color everything here. And then I forgot a few details like the bricks in the chimney of the house, and I also forgot to color the box the dog is sitting in, like for a second layer. I don't know how I forgot to do that, but I did. And I just cut everything out, and then I throw it into the book. And I was not satisfied with how it turned out, so I decided to add some shadows around them to kind of make them look like stickers, kind of off the page a little bit. And I thought that looked really cool. And I used color pencil for that, and I switched between black and white to like smooth it out, add some depth. And as you can see now, the left page is like YouTube based and the right page is more like living based, I guess. And I still wasn't satisfied with just the shadow behind everything, so I add in the sparkly warklies, and I tried to keep them into like more condensed clusters that I normally do to make them kind of look like they're the filler stickers that would be on a sticker sheet. However, I didn't add any like outline to them, like around them, like the offset that stickers have, and I don't know why, other than I was bored with this page, honestly. I hate to be like that because it's about my wishes and what could possibly happen in the future, but I don't know. I think my concept for this was just a little weak. And then we're moving on to where is the dream holiday location? Create it here, and one day it will come true. That's kind of interesting wording. I don't know about it will come true, but it may come true. Probably not, actually, if you know what I'm coloring here. I've decided to choose a fantasy world from Nintendo, and that is, of course, Hyrule. I chose the Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom version of Hyrule, and I would rather be isekai'd to a fantasy world than live in this world, to be honest. I know it says vacation, but honestly, I just want to live there if possible, which it's not. Because honestly, anything is better than the US, let me tell you. But we don't talk about that kind of stuff here because this is a channel to escape. But I decided to draw, half of it is in the Korok Forest area where the Great Deku Tree is, where the sword is, you know, in its little stone thingy. And then I drew Satori Mountain, which is where that creature is from. It's like the lord or god of Satori Mountain. It's like two faces. You can't see the second face because like the faces are on either side of the neck. It's really weird if you've never seen it before. It is weird if you've seen it before too though. So it essentially has 4 eyes and it has like a horse's body. It's like an owl face like stuck together with a horse's body and those leafy things for antenna, almost like a moth or like bunny ears. And I was trying to use that creature as kind of a divider to kind of meld the two spaces together. So in the background of the Master Sword, it's going to be marked green because it's in a forest, and in the background behind the creature, it's going to be more blue because you can see like the sky from the mountain. Also, I decided to try Neocolor 2s on this paper. This paper is not meant for watercoloring or anything, but I wanted to give it a try, and I did do a test before I did this whole page because I did not want to ruin it. And it works out pretty well. I do think it looks a bit too smooth to really look like good quality watercolors on this paper, but I do like how it turns out. Like, it is a little bit hard to get textures and stuff to happen on this paper, but other than that, it works pretty well. And it might be like a new favorite to rotate into doing in this book. Also, I do have a question for any Zelda fans out there. Do you consider the Master Sword blue or purple? Because it seems to be like a whole thing that I didn't realize was a whole thing, because to me, the color is obvious. I consider the Master Sword to be purple. I did layer purple and blue together to give it a bit more of a blue hue though, because I have very limited Neocolor 2s, so I had to mix colors here and there. I consider it purple, especially next to the Hylian shield, which is not a debate for what color it is, so I don't know why people consider the Master Sword blue when there's very clearly a Hylian shield right next to it that's very blue. So I don't know. I also made the blade kind of blue tinted just to give it some color, because I didn't want anything to be super solid white or silver. And I wanted, like, you know, to make sure everything was cohesive by adding that bluish color to the sword like it is on the Mountain God. And it may look like I broke my red there, but it was actually already broken and I had melted it back together. But it fell apart in my hand when it was coloring. So I melted it back together again, and that time I taped it and it worked out pretty well. Like, it's not over for the Neo color because you can use all of it. It's a crayon essentially, that can break down with water. So I'll eventually get to that point where I need to peel it down that far, so I'm not that worried about it being broken. It's a little disappointing because it broke right before I was recording this section of the video. I dropped it on the floor. It was hard. It's hardwood floor, so it was devastating when I saw it. I'm like, no, my Neo color too! But it's really interesting watching everything come to life when you add the water to it, like the background just completely transforms. And for the green side of the background, I did try to mostly do an upward swipe to kind of give the illusion of like trees. I don't think it really ends up looking any different than the blue side though in the end. Also, if you didn't notice, I did measure out how big of a space I had. That's why there's those white bars on the top and side. And I also folded it in half. I want to know exactly where the gutter of the book was going to land when I would essentially glue this into the book. If you don't know what I mean by gutter of the book, that is where the pages are sealed into the spine. You know, that annoying flap you can never color in. That is the gutter of the book. I only know that term because I took a class called Desktop Publishing. Basically just a class for making yearbooks in high school, and I was taught all the anatomies of books. Now I do go in and put like another layer of Neo colors in some spots because I wasn't pleased with the colors, how they turned out after I added the water to them. Like the stone the Master Sword is on, I thought it was too washed out looking, so I added some black into the color, and I also added more green back into it to be like mossy looking. And for the tree, I also wanted to darken that quite a bit too. I added purple to it originally to like have more purpley colors going on, but I think it kind of completely got washed away after I added the black layer because it was just too light. And then I decided to make the antenna and like the moon have a shimmer to it, so I used a grabby glitter marker. Oh, and like that jewel thing on the Master Sword. And then I go in and dab in some pink petals for the sakura tree. I just wanted it to be more full. And then of course you have to add the highlights. And then I go in and do the line work. I think it really looks so much better with the line art being done. And this particular marker I'm using, I'm trying to use it until it dies, essentially. It's not like my favorite one. That's why you keep seeing it in my videos. It's because I'm trying to purge it, if you will, because I've been on a mission to purge my art supplies by using them up this year. So I'm trying to not buy more art supplies on top of it. I'm calling it the year of the purge, if you haven't seen any other videos referencing it. Because I just have too much art supplies, man. I don't need it all because I can't use it all at once, you know? And I only outlined the sakura petals that I had originally outlined because I want them to be in like the foreground and I want the other petals to be in like the background. So, do you like video games and have you ever played a Zelda game? If so, which one was your favorite? Let me know. I definitely feel like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are up there as my tops, but I don't know, I think I liked the original Zelda game. I know I'm that old, that I've played the first Zelda game. Not when it first came out or anything, but in my childhood. I liked A Link Between Worlds, the one where he's like a painting in the wall. And I also really liked Link's Awakening. I like the remake. I don't think I ever got to play the original, like when it was out or anything. I just think that game is really cute, and I really like the amiibo for it too. It's all shiny like a toy. And then I just gotta cut it out and glue it in, and there it is. Next, we're moving on to what makes you nostalgic. Is it an object or maybe even a song? What could make one more nostalgic than using Crayola products, am I right? The first object I'm working on here is called Kitty Kitty Kittens. It's a calico cat. They have like something in their head that makes them sound like they're purring. I think it's like a marble or something. So their heads were kind of massive and their bodies were like small and barely stuffed. But their feet had like beans in them to make them like heavy. And I sold it at a yard sale in my early teens and I regretted it ever since. Like, if I can get my hands on one someday again, I will totally do that. And of course, Crayola crayons are pretty nostalgic. Now, I chose these specific colors because one of them's red, one of them's red-orange, and the other one is raspberry. And every time I would try to grab a red, I would grab those other two colors by mistake and be very disappointed when it was the wrong color. I actually think raspberry might have been mulberry though in my childhood. And then this one is probably a bit more specific to just me and like my siblings, and it is Days Soda. Now we would get it as like a treat, so that's probably what makes it special to me. And they had crazy flavors. They had the crazy flavors before Fanta did, I think. I don't know if that's true or not, but I remember them being the first to have the crazy flavors. The one I'm coloring in particular is the blue pop one. I didn't put like the name on the can or anything, but you'll be able to see that I don't draw anything exactly like the originals. And then of course, Game Boy. We did actually have the yellow brick, which I found out later is like the rarer of the Game Boys. So that's pretty cool. We don't have it anymore, of course. And I also drew the Game Boy camera. Now, that wasn't my thing, it was more like my sister's thing. But I drew it there to take up the space that's there because it was like big and empty there. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. And of course, Sega Genesis. We only had the Genesis. I think we might have had the CD part. I'm not entirely sure. But I remember playing games all the time with my sister and also watching my dad play Doom all the time. And it's just like one of the super nostalgic things for me. And of course, Betty Spaghetti. I think that is probably my favorite toy I had as a kid. I had a lot of the sets. I didn't have all the dolls though. It's crazy. I kept getting the blonde one over and over again. But I vaguely remember having like a salon or something and they had like hair that changed color. I don't know. It was weird because the wig only went on like their skull. It didn't like go over their ponytail thing. Hard to describe. And then I have Talking Nano Kitty, which comes from Talking Nano Pets. It's like a Tamagotchi, but they kind of talk, you know? And it's bigger than a Tamagotchi too. I just remember carrying that thing everywhere with me. And I also had a lot of Hot Wheels growing up. I did have this blue one that I'm coloring, and I actually still have the Hot Wheels. Out of everything here, I still have the Hot Wheels because I passed them down to my cousins. And then when they got too old, they gave them back to me, of course. All right, I am done. So let's go over what we did this week. First, I gotta take it out of its cage. And we started with what's on your list. I did these cute stickers with paint markers. And where is the dream holiday location? I chose a fantasy place. And last, what makes you nostalgic? This one looks like way better in person, I feel. Because my blending doesn't look as bad as it is in some areas. I swear. I think this week my favorite has got to be the nostalgic page. Like, this one was definitely winning until I did the nostalgia page. Well, yeah. I have to put you back in your cage because you're gonna interfere with my outro. But that's going to be it for me today. If you guys want to check out the last How Much Art Can You Make video, you can tap the thumbnail here. If you want to catch up on anything you missed, you can tap the thumbnail here. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to do all the cool YouTube things of commenting, liking, subscribing, and turning on that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye!